afternoon, evening, wherever you are, and welcome to Global Atheist News Roundup, dateline 17th of June 2023. This week's headlines. Boko Haram beheaded 7 farmers in Borno attack. Methodist Church in Ireland's sense of shame over abuse cases. Southern Baptists expel US churches that have female pastors. A Swedish court rejects the police ban on Quran burnings. The Israeli army gives a green light to fire at any suspicious Egyptian soldier. Illinois passes a ban on book bans. The Pittsburgh synagogue shooting truck driver is convicted of killing 11. A UN committee urges the UK to end faith-based selection in schools. The National Secular Society defends a mayor who was ousted for questioning religious circumcision. Thetford is to have Bishop after royal approval, and the number 666 bus to hell has changed its number after Christian protests. On Thursday in Maiduguri, terrorists suspected of being members of the Islamist group Boko Haram decapitated 7 farmers. They were working on a farm in Molai, a village approximately 5 kilometers from Maiduguri, when the terrorists attacked them. A former Commissioner for Youth and Sports, Sayana Buba, said the farmers were buried on Friday morning after an Islamic funeral service. A member of the vigilante group Civilian JTF, Abu Dulmumin Bulama, said despite being shot at, one farmer managed to escape and raise an alarm. There is sorrow and a sense of shame within the Methodist Church in Ireland after a review identified 30 historic abuse cases, the president has said. The Reverend David Turtle, president of the Methodist Church, was speaking 2 days after the church published the findings of its 3-year review into how it dealt with abuse allegations. The report examined Methodist records from 1950 onwards and found 6 abuse cases involving ordained ministers, while most of the cases were allegations against lay volunteer leaders. In 3 cases, the people accused of abuse were lay employees of the Methodist Church. The allegations ranged from physical violence and sexual abuse to inappropriate relationships with teenagers and improper use of social media. The US's largest Baptist denomination has voted to expel 2 churches for having female pastors. A vote by the Southern Baptist Convention, an association of more than 47,000 Baptist churches with a membership of more than 13 million, found that Californian megachurch Saddleback and Kentucky's Fern Creek Baptist Church were not in friendly cooperation with SBC, whose mission statement says the office of pastor should be limited to men. The church is a Protestant denomination of Christianity, with congregations led by pastors. In total, 5 churches have been expelled from the SBC for being led by women. A Swedish appeals court on Monday said police had no legal grounds to block 2 gatherings where protesters had planned to burn the Quran earlier this year. The burning of Islam's holy book outside Turkey's embassy in Stockholm in January sparked anger in the Muslim world, leading to weeks of protests, calls for a boycott of Swedish goods, and further stalled Sweden's NATO membership bid. Following that incident, police refused to authorize two other requests, one by a private individual and one by an organization, to hold Quran burnings outside the Turkish and Iraqi embassies in February. Police argued that the January protest had made Sweden a higher priority target for attacks. Following appeals from both protest organizers, the Stockholm Administrative Court overturned the decisions, saying the cited security concerns were not enough to limit the right to demonstrate. The following video shows what happened 4 months ago.
I'm going to start by making an address in Italy
Ülkemizin büyükelçiliği önünde böyle bir kepazeliğin yaşanmasına sebebiyet verenlerin NATO'ya üyelik başvuruları konusunda artık bizden herhangi bir hayır haklık bekleyemeyecekleri açıktır.
The Israeli army has issued new, stricter instructions to its members serving at the border with Egypt to fire at any Egyptian soldier who behaves suspiciously, following this month's deadly shooting, which left 3 Israeli troops killed. Israeli Army Radio said the military issued new instructions to its soldiers regarding how to act in the event of any suspicious events occurring in the border area. The new instructions prohibit Israeli soldiers from approaching the border fence and orders them to maintain a distance and not advance without the approval of the sector commander. It obliges them to deal with any abnormal movement or behavior by an Egyptian soldier as a possible threat, with readiness to open fire. Taking a new tack in the ideological battle over what books children should be allowed to read, Illinois will prohibit book bans. Yes, it's banning book bans in its public schools and libraries, with Governor Pritzker calling the bill that he signed on Monday the first of its kind. This law, which takes effect next year, was the Democratic-controlled state's response to a sharp rise in book banning efforts across the country, especially in Republican-led states, where lawmakers have made it easier to remove library books that political groups deemed objectionable. While certain hypocritical governors are banning books written by LGBTQ authors, but then claiming censorship when the media fact-checks them, we are showing the nation what it really looks like to stand up for liberty. Mr. Pritzker, a Democrat, said at a bill-signing event at the Harold Washington Library Center in Chicago. The law directs public libraries in the state to adopt or write their own versions of a library bill of rights such as the American Library Associations, which asserts that materials should not be prescribed or removed because of partisan or doctrinal disapproval. Schools in England should be prevented from religious discrimination in their admissions, a United Nations committee has said. The UN Committee on the Rights of the Child, CRC, has recommended repealing compulsory collective worship in schools too, and the parental right of withdrawal from sex education. The National Secular Society welcomed these recommendations. A truck driver who expressed hatred of Jews has been convicted of barging into a Pittsburgh synagogue on the Jewish Sabbath and fatally shooting 11 congregants in an act of anti-Semitic terror, and he could be sentenced to die. The guilty verdict on Friday against Robert Bowers was a foregone conclusion. His lawyers conceded at the trial's outset that he attacked and killed worshippers at the Tree of Life Synagogue on the 27th of October 2018 in the deadliest attack on Jews in the US in American history. I am grateful to God for getting us to this day, Rabbi Jeffrey Myers, who survived the attack, said, and I am thankful for the law enforcement who ran into danger to rescue me and the US attorney who stood up in court to defend my right to pray. In the face of the horror that our community has experienced, I can think of no better response than practicing my Jewish faith and leading worship, Rabbi Myers added. The National Secular Society has teamed up with a men's health charity to raise concern after a mayor was ousted for criticizing religious circumcision. In a 2008 blog, former mayor of Neyland Town Council, Andrew Lai, questioned why religious circumcision of children was necessary if God made man in his own image. At a meeting earlier this month, fellow councillor Brian Rotheroe said the remarks were nothing short of anti-Semitic and anti-Muslim. The council subsequently voted to remove Lai from the mayoralty, and Lai has now resigned from the council. In a joint letter sent to Neyland Town Council yesterday, the NSS and 15 Square, a registered charity which supports men dealing with the physical and psychological problems arising from circumcision, criticised the allegations against Lai as baseless and said they would have a chilling effect on free expression. In a free and open society, religious beliefs and practices must remain open to scrutiny and debate. Individuals should be afforded respect and protection, but ideas should not, the letter said. The letter also pointed out that circumcision has been listed as a harmful practice by the United Nations. In 2015, a British judge described it as more invasive than some forms of female genital mutilation and held that it met the definition of significant harm under the Children Act 1989. 3 boys have bled to death in recent years post-circumcision in the UK, and 11 were admitted in just 1 year to one hospital with life-threatening hemorrhage or sepsis. An NHS whistleblower, himself a paediatric surgeon, said in 2016, circumcisions were leaving children maimed for life. A clergyman with the surname Bishop is to become the Bishop of a Norfolk town. The Venerable Ian Bishop, Archdeacon of Macclesfield, has been appointed Bishop of Thetford in the Diocese of Norfolk, in the Diocese of Norwich, following King Charles III's approval. He previously served as a vicar in the county and will be ordained at Westminster Abbey in September, and he said he was looking forward to the role. There will be no more going to hell on bus 666. The bus to the town of Hell on Poland's Baltic coast has long been popular with tourists, but some Christian conservatives have protested against the use of a number signifying the devil on a bus leading to a place that sounds like the word hell in English. It's spelled H-E-L. The local bus operator, PKS Gdynia, announced this week that bus 666 would be renumbered 669 from the 24th of June. Local media said the bus company had acted under pressure from Christian groups that had pushed for the change, but it was already thinking of returning to the old number amid a public outcry. This week's Free Thought Hour will be different from the advertised show. The AI expert has decided not to appear, so Tercia and I will be talking about the multifarious developments that have happened in recent times. You can eavesdrop on behind the scenes in Free Thought Productions channel. Feel free to join us. We will be back recording Views on the News again tomorrow after a couple of weeks off, summer holidays. Thanks for watching. This has been Global Atheist News.